Here we go. Sky Temple. Alright. So I don't remember a whole lot about Baddest dudes, so let me do a little bit of research here. Favorite heroes are Kel'Thas and Johanna, so I think the Kel'Thas gets banned. Seems to be a pretty popular hero. They even banned it. Deathstroke even banned it last game against Papochas, even though Papochas didn't really play it that much. So sounds like they don't want to play against Kel'Thas. Understandable. Bomb's really annoying. That being said, Deathstroke doesn't really play any supports that care about being in close proximity to your allies. Stitches gets banned from Deathstroke. I still have yet to see them play this hero. And I don't know if they'll ban the Johanna. They have the first pick, so and they did play it to pretty good effect last game, so they'll probably leave it up. Yeah, Rexar gets. Oh, that's right. This was the team with the Rexar player. I want to say we left the Rexar up, and it was okay. The micro was kind of awkward, but okay, Anna gets banned. So I think they're gonna take the Johanna here. There's almost. I mean, honestly, maybe a Nubrak too. I'm forgetting that the Nubrak was really good game one. But I do think that the tank should be the priority here. I know both these teams play Stukov, if I remember correctly. Yeah, there's the Johanna. Okay. I want to say both these teams play Stukov. Oh, actually, no. Baddest Dudes doesn't. And Raynor Muradin on the other side. I'm so surprised seeing Muradin when Diablo and Anubrak still exist. Maybe it's just a comfort pick for Zico? No idea. Raynor's a pretty safe DPS. He's one of the few range damage dealers who can solo a temple, and they get the Jaina Brightwing. They're going for the global again. Will they pick up the Dahaka? I don't think so. I think Dahaka will probably have too difficult of a time into the Raynor, but the Jaina definitely played very, very well the last game. I mean, into the Muradin in particular, it seems pretty good. Banning the Tychus, alright. That was a really good hero for Dougie, so understandable, that ban for sure. Now, what is this last ban going to be? Are they going to try and choke the support? No, it's the Sylvanas. Varian Abathur. Wow. Okay. So this changes the draft completely. Varian Abathur is already really, really dangerous. I mean, it's probably TV. It's hard to say, though. And they do pick up the Dahaka again. This seems to be almost identical to their first comp. They had the Tychus instead of whatever this last hero is, and then Gul'dan instead of Jaina, Nubrak. And they do grab the Zul'jin this time in place of the Tychus. So the Jaina, Johanna, Brightwing, Dahaka seem to be pretty good comfort picks for Deathstroke. And Orphea is the last pick. You know, I want to say that Deathstroke is the better team going into this. I think just based on how I've played against both of these teams, my team has played against both of these teams, and having casted Deathstroke's last match, I do think that they got a lot of comfort heroes, and I'm not too stoked on the Abathur here on Sky Temple. It does have some potential. I am definitely afraid that Abathur against a global, it's going to be real hard to keep that level parity going into the early game. I think they're going to struggle. They're being Baddest dudes are going to struggle to get to 10 before Deathstroke. It's going to be a weird game. All right. So for Deathstroke, Dougie is going to be playing the Zul'jin this time. Dick Cheney on his Brightwing again. Broski back on Jaina. Johanna is going to be played by the Top Hat. And Antifreeze again on the Dahaka. For the Baddest dudes, Zigo on Murden. Cactus Ham on the Rainer. Savior on Orphea. Rondertaker on Varian. And the Abathur will be played by Tootie Moss. So I'm very interested to see if Deathstroke will contest this top vision. I do think that they probably should. They have the global Abathurs there. They have Varian level 1. Like, this vision should be contested by Deathstroke instantly. Or at least they should be looking for a fight mid, because, man, the combination of Varian and Abathur at level 1 just seems so bad for the early game. Varian already rotating down. Abathur already taking a nice chill in the top lane. Oh god, I'm kind of lagging. But we're okay. Rainer gets kind of caught. He makes it out just barely. Meanwhile, Dahaka has rotated up top, getting that soak. So Dahaka doing such a good job right now, and I really want to like emphasize what this Dahaka is doing right now. He's doing a really good job of making sure that he's not pushing this wave in. This Abathur's body soaking over here, and as long as Dahaka, he's killing the hatted minion and the Locust, the Abathur spawning, Abathur is not going to be getting any of this experience. Abathur doing a good job trying to be a little bit more aggressive because he sees that Dahaka is zoning him out of this experience. Hopefully he hats a minion here and picks up some of this soak as it crashes in. Baddest dudes starting their siege camp, making sure they get that done, trying to get their experience as fast as possible, but already you can see, if I can do this, just look at the experience on Dahaka. He's at 714, Abathur is only at 324, so Dahaka already doing a really good job of getting rid of that XP. Abathur, seeing that, has now rotated to Vision. He spawned a Locust and now he's got to move. Really interesting stuff. Both the siege camps duking it out on the bot lane. Really impressed by both of these players in the top lane. They understand the matchup. Dahaka understands how to zone XP off of Abathur. Abathur doing a good job of trying to do what he can to make sure that he soaks as much as he can. Meanwhile, Jaina catching the soak in the mid lane, and Baddest dudes are going to miss almost the whole wave up top. Or in the mid lane, that's not super great for them. Abathur grabbing the vision camp, baiting Dahaka into a bunch of mines. Meanwhile, nothing super exciting is happening on the bot lane, but already Deathstroke half a level ahead, and this is what I was talking about. I mean, the early game's just so hard, it's going to be real hard to keep up the XP with the Abathur composition. I think once it gets online, both Varian and Rainer can do a lot of good work. Even Orphea, to be honest. But until they get to that point where they can grab the clone, they can get the attack speed, it's gonna be an uphill battle. Both teams working on their bruiser camps right now. Abathur has gone bottom during the temple phase, and it looks like Dahaka's on the top temple. He is going to get rotated on by Murden and Rainer. He has a burrow, but there is an Abathur hat. This is going to be a lot of damage. He has... Oh, he does burn essence, and it is enough to keep him up. I don't think he wanted to get rid of that essence right there. Meanwhile, Johanna and Zul'jin zoning Varian off at the mid-temple. And it looks like both teams are pretty content to trade. Orphea doing her best to clear this bruiser camp up here. And it looks like we're just going to trade temples. But meanwhile, Abathur has been soaking the bot lane the entire time. And Baddest Dudes is going to catch up in XP a little bit. They finally send Dahaka down to nullify a little bit of that value. Finish the mid camp. They're now rotating up. And top temple is now gone as well. Level 7 is here for Deathstroke. I don't think they're going to be able to do too much with it. Abathur is working his way towards that level 7. Nothing exciting happening right now. Looks like they've... Brightwing has come down to soak against the Rainer. Dahaka's moving back up to the top lane eventually, I think, so that he can make use of his burrow for when the temple will spawn on the bottom. Right now, both teams just trying to soak to 10 as fast as they can, making sure that when the fight does break out over the bottom temple, that they have that talent tier advantage. Dahaka's now pushing his lane in as hard as he can right now, trying to get all the experience because he knows he's going to have to burrow down at some point. Maybe get a little bit of structure damage. It's worth noting that this strategy of oh, and as I say this, the bottom siege camp is being contested. Johanna gets kind of picked, but she does make it out alive, but the siege camp is going to get contested by Baddest Dudes and stolen effectively. So that's a double siege now pushing into the bottom lane. Obviously this top one's going to get cleared, but it's going to let Baddest Dudes get in a little bit better position for this temple phase. Abathur soaking the top lane. Deathstroke still a little bit sooner to the level 10 than Baddest Dudes will be. Orphea's rotating down. Dahaka is trying to get one more wave before he burrows down. We're about to see the pre-10 team fight. I think if I was Deathstroke right now, I'd be waiting for 10. You see Jaina just cleared a mid wave. Dahaka's probably going to soak for one more wave. If they get this wave mid, they'll probably get 10, and here it is. Heroics are picked up. We got the Water Elemental, the Taz Dingo for Zul'jin, and a pick on Varian. Maybe he actually makes it out. Oh no! Barely dies to the Jaina. And Murden does make it out with the help of the Abathur hat, and Deathstroke is going to be able to take the bottom temple. Level 10 still not here for Baddest Dudes, unfortunately. I think it was... I mean, I said it going into the game. I mean, it's going to be really difficult for them. I think this bottom temple phase is such a swingy part of... It's such a swingy part of Sky Temple as a map, right? I mean, you get the extra structure damage. See, already they've snowballed that one, like, half a level lead into now a whole level lead, 11 to 10. They're going to get to 13 sooner. Abathur does have his clone now, so they have to be a little bit more careful, but the pseudo-global of clone is kind of contested by the global from Dahaka, so... We'll see how this goes. Looks like Deathstroke is trying to make an invade on the Bruiser camp. Murden kind of scouts it out, but he actually is taking a bunch of damage. Varian on the back line, focusing down, and the Orphea ult comes out and does manage to pick Jaina. It seemed like Jaina was a little bit too aggressive there. I'm not quite sure what her thought process was. She did just kind of get deleted by Orphea there. Dahaka with a decent drag. They're still trying to fight 4v5. Abathur clone is still up. They got to be really careful here. The Falling Sword focuses the backline. There's the clone. The Murden ends up destroying Johanna. She will fall. Zul'jin might not be so lucky. And the Tazdingo comes out. Dahaka tries to go in and peel, but he might have just lost his own life for that. He needs to make his way to a bush so he can get the movement speed, but he is not able to. Meanwhile, Abathur soaking the bottom lane the entire time has caught them up in XP along with the kills, and suddenly this game is looking really, really even. Baddest Dudes is still behind in terms of structure damage, which is the win condition on this map for the most part. But they have caught up in experience. They will hit 13 by the time this temple phase is up, or at least along with Deathstroke. Varian has worked his way to the siege camp and is going to start pushing down the bottom lane. And now this is a little bit scary for Deathstroke, I think. They're heading... all 5 heroes are coming bottom. I think they're really worried about this boss. I think the potential for a Twin Blades Varian with an Abathur hat on the boss is very scary, so they want to make sure that they have a presence in this lane. Orpheus sees this giant rotation here. Actually, probably could have got a fair bit of damage, but didn't want to waste their cooldowns. And Varian just super content to solo this temple. Looks like Baddest Dudes are going to let them walk on. I'm actually kind of surprised by that. Obviously, Joe has the Iron Skin, but... well, we see the clone right now. Yep, there's the clone. It was on the Muradin. But meanwhile, the real Muradin is about to fall to Dahaka, but he does make it out just barely. Is the chain of damage enough to kill Varian? No, I don't think it is. I think she might be overstepping. But the falling sword comes out, does hit 3 people. And both Muradin, Varian, Orphea, and Raynor all fall. Muradin soon to follow. Really good team fight from... Oh, Muradin actually makes it out. Surprisingly. Really good team fight from Deathstroke. Unfortunately, this is why I was saying this was looking bad for them, is because they rotated all their heroes bottom. Meanwhile, there was this bruiser camp that got the entire top fort during that process. So the little bit of structure damage they had prior to this is kind of lost. Again, Abathur has been soaking the entire time. Actually, that time he was in clone, so probably didn't get as much XP. But they do have to respond to this top wave at some point. I'm actually kind of surprised they didn't send Jaina back to deal with that. Scouting the boss once more again. Oh, Dahaka trying to sneak the temple is going to get caught out here. He does have his essence. It gets popped. And he makes it out without having to burn his adaptation. Looks like they're still trying to pick a fight. It is 5v4, but all heroics are up right now. And the clone comes out. A really big Orphea ult that gets a ton of damage, but Varian is going to fall. Dahaka, with the adaptation, ends up getting a ton of his health back. Cactus Ham on the Raynor is not going to be able to do much, and isn't quite able to get the Zul'jin or the Johanna. And that's another one team fight for Deathstroke. It does seem like they are just kind of walking all over this composition. I think a lot of it has to do with the Johanna play and the Jaina right now. I think those 2 heroes are just being far too impactful. Dahaka rotating down to catch some of this soak. And they're working towards level 16. I imagine once they get it, they might try and focus this boss down. This temple's pretty much all done. Dahaka should be kind of careful here. He doesn't have an ult. Muradin's here. Muradin can have an Abathur hat as well. He needs to be careful. I think the rest of Baddest Dudes are coming to gank him. He does, maybe. There's no way he has a burrow. There's his ult. And that's a dead Dahaka. Meanwhile, the top fort was taken by the rest of Deathstroke. But now Baddest Dudes are looking towards the boss. They do have a really quick composition to burn it down, and that's exactly what they're going to do. Deathstroke has already scouted it out, but keep in mind that this is a 5v4 right now. Clone is still up. Baddest Dude's actually taking a fair amount of damage. The clone is out. Muradin's diving the backline. Gets a nice stun on Zul'jin. He doesn't actually chain it into the boss stun. But Muradin on the backline is very, very low. The clone is going to be able to cap the boss. Maybe. Jaina's on the point. What a huge falling sword. And everything is just going in Deathstroke's favor right now. I am so surprised that Baddest Dudes did not get that boss in the beast step from Dick Cheney and Broski. I am so... It looked like that boss was theirs, and then so much CC. The Brightwing heals are just coming in very clutch right now. And this boss will for sure get the keep with all 4 active members of Baddest Dudes down. Dahaka's pushing into the top lane, trying to get them to level 20. And they have a siege camp coming on with them as well. Maybe I spoke too soon. I don't know if this boss will actually be able to take the keep. Looks like Deathstroke are content with leaving it up. There is no mule on the side of Abathur, so they're definitely okay with leaving that structure at 20% health. Meanwhile, they're going to go over to their siege camp. And posture for this temple. 16 is here for Baddest Dudes. They do have the extra percent health for Orphea, which is going to help her take down the Johanna and the Dahaka. Clone is popped very prematurely. They're looking for a fight right away. They want to take this 16 fight. And Murden just honestly gets deleted. The Clone with it as well. Raynor gets kind of destroyed as well. And the Orphea ult is not going to be enough to deter the Johanna and the Dahaka. And that is 2 kills. At some point, Zul'jin died during that fight. I didn't quite see that happen. It must have been the Clone. He still has Tastingo up, which makes me think that he probably got chain CC'd to death. I'm not sure. But the temple will go to Deathstroke. And it will work down this keep front wall. Meanwhile, Dahaka has again maybe overextended on the bot lane. Varian and Orpheo sniffed him out, and he gets picked again. Honestly, this game would be so far in favor of Deathstroke if it wasn't for this Dahaka getting picked every time they win a fight. Jaina being so brave doing this bruiser camp. Murden walks right past her. Raynor walks right past her. Varian walks right past her. Nobody bothers to check. They're all going for the temple. Meanwhile, Brightwing and Johanna are just leaving. We got the bruiser camp. We're fine. Jaina sees Abathur. Abathur has no idea. He goes down. Now everyone's rotating to catch Jaina. How is she going to get out? Orphea's E misses. Uh-oh, Varian's coming. She got dismounted by a minion. She's going to try and back in the corner, but Varian definitely knows she's somewhere. And that's going to be a dead Jaina. Fortunately for Deathstroke, there isn't a whole lot to do on the map right now. They've already picked on the bruiser camp. Actually, this might be a little dangerous. Good call on Deathstroke to back off of this bruiser camp. It's not worth. They do have their level 20, but they cannot take this fight 3v2. Especially with Johanna so low on mana. Thanks to this catapult, though, it looks like this keep is going to fall. That is so much of a structure advantage for Deathstroke. And they're content just clearing this bruiser camp safely. They know that they have a structure advantage, and they can pretty much play these next couple tempo phases pretty passively, just trading them back and forth. And eventually they will end up coming out on top. Abathur soaking the bot lane. Level 20 not quite here for Baddest Dudes. But fortunately the temple phase is nowhere to be found. And I think they will have it by the time it does finally come up. Looks like Dahaka maybe looking for a pick. Doesn't find what he was looking for. Dahaka playing very, very aggressive right now. And gets a drag on Murden. That's a lot of CC in the water elemental. Murden gets deleted. There was no Abathur hat. There was no heal. Nothing to be found. And I think the fact that there's no healer for the Abathur composition is just... It's definitely not helping him. I mean, looking at all the heroes, I get where the draft was coming from. Like, everybody has their sustain, right? But... And maybe Johanna has overstepped a little bit. She does have Falling Sword to get out, but the Raynor clone is trying to pester her. The clone goes down. Meanwhile, Siege Camp pushing in the core. Probably won't get that much damage. The problem with this composition is, like, they have the sustain for the lack of a healer, right? What they don't have is the ability to disengage from team fights. If Baddest Dudes takes like the 1v1, 2v2 skirmishes the entire game, they're gonna come out on top. You can see them, like, you know, picking off Dahaka down here and Jaina up here. They want those kinds of engages, but the 5v5 engages is not what they want. They have no sustain, long-term sustain, like the Brightwing on Deathstroke. None of their heroes outside of maybe Murden has a way to leave a fight. And so when they are forced into those 5v5 situations, the Dahaka and the Johanna with the Janus slows are just walking all over them. And the Temples will end the game very nicely. The boss doesn't even need to get the core. That's going to be game 1 in favor of Deathstroke, and that was kind of a blowout. 18 kills to 10. Acceptable outcome.